Welcome back to another episode of the Suited Kings podcast, and happy holidays to all of my friends out there. Wes, happy holidays to you, man. How did this holiday season go for you?
Oh, it was good. Got mostly cold in the stocking, unfortunately. But
You've been a bad boy.
yeah, I mean, it was relaxing. Went over to my parents' house with my brother, just hung out, ate food, opened presents.
Anything
super
cool?
relaxing. I did get some cool stuff. Actually, some of the coolest stuff I got was not even necessarily a Christmas present, but my mom and her family have been going through her parents' old stuff, and I actually got my grandpa had some old trophies for like handball and golf.
Oh,
Yeah, so he was winning trophies, and he had some like sales trophies.
were these things made out of like wood, or how old were they?
They look kind of like normal trophies would, like more similar to what my chess trophies look like. You know, I don't know if you all know, but I have a lot of chess trophies.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
That was a brag, I think, though.
Yeah.
We all
Nah.
know Humble Wes. That's your
mean,
new nickname, by the way, Humble
Maybe
Wes.
that's why I get coal in my stockings. So just like throw stuff like that in
You're just
there.
better. And you let people know it.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I'm glad to hear that. My holidays went well. I spent Christmas and the following day with my fiance and her parents. We did a lot of eating, some napping, not with her parents, obviously.
That was the next question.
I had to clear that up real quick. And then I got some clothes, got some gift cards. It ended up being really nice. We ended up eating at Pizza Ranch, which I haven't ate at in a long time. So crushed the buffet on Christmas Day. How about that?
Nice. I feel like we both have a bit of like a food, maybe not a food coma, but a food hangover, or just like a holiday sort of hangover in a way.
Yeah. I'm
not like an alcohol related.
No,
but
I barely did. I mean, I had maybe 1 or 2 glasses of wine, but I definitely have I think I'm wore out a little bit, you know? And also, so this is the first episode we're recording where I don't have coffee.
Yeah.
I think that might be it as well, but I've given myself a treat of the Tahitian variety.
There you go.
It's pretty good. I haven't had one of these since I was a kid, so I'm pretty hyped on that. Anyways, so the new year, 2024, right around the corner next week. I know a lot of people have, wanting to improve their game on their New Year's resolution list, and I think today's topic will be a great place to start off the new year. We're going to kind of dive into the math behind the poker. We're going to give a bunch of different examples and different tips or, different scenarios or times to use when you can use math to your advantage. Wes, I think you're going to be taking the reins mostly today on this one, as you are the nerd.
I'll take it.
Let's get into it.
All right. Yeah, so as far as math goes, when I got into poker, I feel like the math side of it was the first thing I really started learning and teaching myself. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I'm just a mathematically inclined person. So for me, this is the side of the game that came probably easier than, all the different reading, all the other stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
I think for me, the math was the part that I really dug into. And
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're missing a soul, but you got a big brain, so
There
that
you
makes
go.
up. I'm just kidding.
the amount of times I've heard that, no, I'm kidding. So, and as far as the math goes, the reason why this is so important is even if your assumptions about the types of hands your opponents are going to play a certain way are correct, you can still land on a losing decision in the moment if you aren't understanding the mathematical reasons behind either making a bet, calling a bet, making a raise, making a fold. And so it's important to get into this. So today I'm going to go through a few basic concepts and then a couple examples more in depth, one pre-flop and one on the river, as to how you think about it mathematically, why charts say what they do, and how you can kind of calculate the expected value
Okay.
of certain decisions. Yeah, and basically the point of this is, what to do with your read once you have it.
Okay.
Obviously, if you literally know your opponent has one specific hand, you should know how to play against that.
But most of the time we don't, just to add to that real quick, we don't, not often do we know exactly what our opponent's hand is. We set them on a range, we construct their range, and we break it down till it's just a smaller range. We don't typically know. I mean, obviously there's times where like this opponent has aces.
Yeah,
right?
100%, yeah. And I think most people know what to do when they know their opponent has aces.
Yeah.
Float and then bluff when
Yeah.
the straight comes in. So let's get into it here. So a few of the kind of basic concepts we want to make sure that we're aware of are, first off, when do we value bet? Mm-hmm. So let's say we're on the river, and we're going to break these down in pretty simple situations because there are often a lot of different factors that go into a decision. But when you're on the river, and so at this point, you don't need to deny any equity. So if you're going to make a bet, you're either doing it for value or as a bluff.
Yeah. And by what he means is we don't have to deny equity. He means there's no further cards coming. So if we have a hand that might be vulnerable, we don't have to bet to try and get opponents off hand. So our betting at this point is either going to be for one of two reasons, which is a bluff or as a value bet. If you listen to our last episode, you would have noticed Wes had said that there's a few other reasons why we bet, such as denying equity. So that's gone here because we're at the river.
Well said. And so let's say our opponent checks and we have like top pair. This specific hand doesn't matter, but we're deciding whether or not we should bet this for value or just check it down. And the conclusion we have to come to is it's not whether or not we think our hand is good more than half the time. It's whether if we make a bet, if our opponent calls, are we beating over half of the hands that will call?
Okay.
Because if our opponent folds, we can just assume our hand was good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
If we're value betting.
right, if we're value betting and our opponent folds, the bet made no difference in the result in the hand. So we can kind of ignore that segment of outcomes. So if we make a value bet, let's say there's $100 in the pot. So if we decide to put in $50 as a value bet, the expected outcome of our opponent calling needs to be us winning over 50% so that on average, we're getting more than $50 back from that bet. Because, the 100 in the pot doesn't matter because we can already check it down and realize our equity in the pot.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if we are facing a bet on the river, it's different. So let's say we're on the other, we check, the pot is 100, our opponent bets 50.
Okay.
Now it's different because our risk reward, we have to make a call of 50 and there's already 150.
So we have to assume that we're going to win this pot 25% of the time.
Exactly. So, and can
you explain how I came to that math?
Yeah, I mean, you're a genius, dude.
Thanks for landing on $100 size bet. That makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, and obviously it won't be this easy in game a lot, but so many of you out there will understand this. Many of you probably maybe won't or not like it won't come super
Just
naturally.
listen up.
Yeah. So if there's 150 out there and we have to call 50, there will be a total of 200 in the pot if we make the call. So in order to end up with more than that 50 coming back in the long run, if we win exactly 25% of the time, if this spot played out...
We're breaking even.
We're breaking even. Yeah, if this spot played out 10,000 times, on average, we're going to get back 50 of that 200. Okay. So we would need to beat over or at least 25% of the hands that our opponent is betting this way in order to make it a profitable call.
Can I take this one step further? Yeah. How do we determine if we are good 25% of the time or not?
That is a good question. So there's the read part of it and there's the math part. So let's just, the read part of it is for a different episode, obviously. Yep. But let's just say we are in a situation, and we'll make this really, really simple.
Okay.
Let's say we think our opponent either has, let's say it's Jack 9 663 or something.
Okay, so the board Jack 9663.
Let's say we determine, again, this is way oversimplifying it, but let's just say we determine our opponent either has Queen 10, miss straight draw, or Ace Jack or an overpair. And we have like Jack 8, Jack with no kicker, so it's a bluff catcher. Let's say Jack 8. There's 16 combos.
Queen 10 unsuited.
Yep. So
of all suited and unsuited.
Yeah. So the way we're doing that is there are 4 queens, there are 4 10s. So there are 16 different combinations of Queen 10 in the deck.
Yep.
So now if you think about it, you're like, well, those are the 16 combos that we're ahead of. So there can be up to 48 combinations of hands that we are losing to, and it can still be a good call, because if there were exactly 48 combos we lose to, then there's 64 total combos that our opponent will make this bet with on the river, and we would still beat 25% of them.
Yeah, so as long as so essentially if the combos we're beating is over 25%, it would be a profitable call.
Exactly. So in this case, if we assume it's only overpairs and Ace Jack, which again, oversimplifying, but
that's a great way to easy way to explain it there. I think So we'll go into
do the math quick here. So each overpair, there's 6 combos. There's always 6 combinations of every pocket pair.
Yeah.
So there are 3 overpairs, so 18 total combos of overpairs, and then Ace Jack. There are 4 aces and only 2 jacks left because 1 is on the board and 1 is in our hand.
8 combos of that.
So 8 combos. So there are a total of 8 plus 18, 26 combos that we are losing to, and 16 that we're beating. So
that's a profitable call.
It is a profitable call if we remember correct. And actually, let's take this a step further. So I'm actually going to pull out my calculator here, and we are winning this pot a total of...
It's funny. I don't know the exact percentage, but I can easily figure out that it's over 25%.
Yeah. You know? So it's 38% of the time that we're going to be ahead here. So if
you didn't use a calculator for that, that was straight off the top.
Yeah. So in game, I might not like get the exact answer, but I'm like, okay.
It's easy to generalize and know that it's like...
Yeah, you want to get
way over or whatever.
Get close. Yeah. And so if we're good 38% of the time... The final pot will be $200. So 38% of 200 is 76. So our $50, on average, we're going to get back 76 from this call. So it's actually making this call, if our assumptions are correct, it will profit us $26 in the long run.
That's a nice call. So we should be making that call.
We should be making that call. And it's good because I think on a human level, even if people kind of understand the pot odds, it's natural to want to fold in this sort of spot because you're like, well, I feel like I'm behind. And the thing is, you're probably right. Like, you are usually going to lose, but you don't want to fall into the bias of, oh, well, I knew I was beat. I should learn how to fold those spots. It's like,
right. Well, because if you were to be wrong in that specific scenario, if you were to run this spot 100 times, you would make money.
100% correct. And that's essential to playing poker profitably because you can come to the right conclusion that, I'm beat most of the time. But if you're not doing the math to be like, okay, well, what actual percentage of the time here?
And sometimes we can even tighten those numbers up by live reads or by opponent player types, stuff like that. But that's something we're not going to get into today.
Exactly. This is a simple example. Like, if you know your opponent doesn't bluff, obviously, you can't call. But
cool.
So
I like that. So we kind of, just to summarize that, we talked about how to figure out if we should be value betting and then also if we should be making a profitable call. So on both sides of it.
Yep. And then the last thing that we'll get into is bluffing. Again, just think about it in terms of risk reward. If you make a pot-sized bet on the river as a bluff, we'll say 100 into 100, you're risking 100 to win only that 100 because if your opponent calls, you lose. So you're only aiming to win that amount. So if it's a 1-to-1 ratio, you need to win at least 50% of the time if you're bluffing for pot size on the river.
Yep.
If you bet half pot on the river, you're giving yourself 2-1, and so you only need to win over a third of the time.
Yeah.
So again, much more complicated than that in practice, but those are good things to keep in mind when you're making different types of bets. So now that we kind of went through that and explained sort of how to count the combinations of hands your opponent can have, let's get into a couple more practical examples here, and hopefully this will kind of help.
Yeah. Before we get into these new examples, can you give me a brief breakdown of like how many combinations there are of each kind of thing? So I know, so just to keep it quick, we got pocket pairs. There's 6 combos of pocket pairs.
Yep.
Of any unpaired hand, there's 16 combos, right?
Yep. And then of those,
that's like ace king through deuce 7, all suited and unsuited. There's 16 combos of each types of those hands.
Yes. Yeah. So there's 16 combos of, like ace king.
And then for any suited hand, there's 4 combos.
Yep. And any offsuit hand, there will be 12.
And for any offsuit hand, there's 12. Okay.
And that's actually a good point. That's a good thing to keep in mind because there are situations, especially, if we raise and someone calls in middle position, let's say the board is like 10, 9, 6, whatever. 7, 8 makes a straight, but they called from middle position. So it's like, well, they're only going to have the suited variety of those. So you can knock down their combinations of a straight from 16 to 4.
Okay.
And that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're figuring out.
Yeah, I think knowing those 4 different types of like basic combo numbers can help you. It's a great starting point. Well, now you guys know that it's not just 10-piece nuggets that come in combos.
Oh my God.
That was a 5th grade joke, but anyways.
That's like a poker version of a dad joke.
Yeah.
Like I actually got my dad a book of dad jokes for Christmas. And so
Nice. Tell him I could borrow that. I would like
I
to
don't think
borrow
you
that.
need it, dude. You got
That was
plenty.
on point. All right. So sorry, move on.
All right. So the first situation I wanted to go over was a pre-flop one. And I kind of wanted to dive into, let's look at what the charts say about this spot, but let's dive into why it says that and why, even though I am a player who follows the math, I'm not going to always do what the chart says either, and how those two things sort of differentiate.
Okay.
So this spot I'm looking at, we're in a tournament. We're not near the money. So ICM is not a factor. We're just playing this for chip EV. We're 30 big blinds effective, and we're on the button. The low jack raises to 2.1 big blinds, and we 3-bet on the button with 6.3 big blinds.
Low jack open, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
I just put this spot into the GTO Wizard pre-flop charts, and you can actually view this with the free version. So if any of you out there want to like do some of this stuff, you don't even have to pay to look at these charts.
You know, it'd be awesome. Just a quick pauser is if we maybe in the new year, Wes and I are going to be doing like live stream trainings in our Discord channel, which has been having fun. I think learning how to use a solver tool such as GTO Wizard would be a great one to go over one day. So we'll get that all set up for you guys. If you ever want to learn how to use tools, solvers and such like that, we'll get in. Make sure to hop in our Discord, and we'll get one of these upcoming weeks. We'll go over and teach you how to use it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And yeah, this would be this is a great thing if you can, if you're able to see the charts as we go along. It probably makes it easier. Definitely, yeah. So if any of you out there want to follow along, like pull up this chart, it's you just need a free subscription to GTO Wizard, and you go to the MTT pre-flop charts, and then put it in low jack raise button 3-bet, and so it folds back around to the low jack. And in this situation, we're going to assume the low jack goes all in for 30 big blinds.
Okay. So did you say it was 2.2? Just curious. Not that it really matters.
The open size?
Yeah.
2.1.
So 2.1 to 6.2, is that what it was?
6.3.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, these are the sizes it suggests.
Yep.
Obviously, small deviations.
So, 2x to 3x 3-bet. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then he jams for 30 bigs.
Yep. In this situation, first thing we want to consider.
Fold.
So with the blinds and the big blind ante, So the low jack has put in 30 bigs. We've put in 6.3.
Yeah.
And then the blinds and antes are 2.5 bigs. So there's 38.8 big blinds in the pot. If we make the call, there will be 62.5 big blinds in the pot. Our 23.7 represents about 38% of the pot. So we need to end up winning this over 38% of the time to make a profitable call.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a couple considerations here. So now if we look at the hands that we will sometimes 3-bet, basically what the charts say is to call off with ace, king, ace, queen, and then all the pocket pairs, because it would have 3-bet like 8, 7, 6s part of the time, and it wants to call with all of those, and then it just wants to fold like ace jack, ace 10, ace 9, king 10, king queen, king 9 suited, jack 8 suited, ace 8 suited, ace 7, kind of the raggy 3-bet bluff kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just going off of this, like you might decide to flick in a call with pocket sixes because, it's, according to this, it's winning just over one big blind, right?
This is interesting because I think pocket sixes would have already been in the muck for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if these calculate in tournament equity or life equity, tournament life equity, et cetera, into your calls. Like, I don't know how many big blinds you had behind either, so that's important.
Yeah, it doesn't. This is just pure chip EV.
Yeah.
So so this is... not accounting for any ICM. So we're assuming this is like middle of day one.
You did
right?
say that.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't have coffee today, guys.
I had a bunch before I came
Damn
over.
it. Okay, go ahead.
But I think your point remains where like you would kind of automatically fold stuff like sixes or sevens.
Go ahead. Continue.
Against the majority of players we're
Yeah.
seeing in our types of live tournaments we're playing. This is the cool part about poker where like it can be correct to fold, it can be correct to call. And so let's kind of get into mathematically why that is. So the reason, first off, let's get into the reason that pocket sixes, according to the charts, is going to be a call is let's look at what the low jack is going to be jamming.
So he's going to be jamming a lot of combinations that are just over cards that aren't. So there's going to be a lot of combinations, 16, so let's say there's 16 of every unsuited hand. There's going to be a lot of combinations to add up here.
Yeah, exactly. So basically what it says is we're going to jam as the low jack, ace king all the time. Mm-hmm. We're going to jam kings, queens, and jacks all
Ace
the
queen
time.
off, I bet.
Ace queen off only like a third of the time.
Okay.
Maybe like a fourth of the time. Ace queen suited like 3/4 of the time. 10s, 9s, and 8s are going to kind of mix between call and jam.
Interesting. I thought ace queen suited would be, I guess for 30 bigs. Yeah, I guess if we were deeper, ace queen might be finding calls instead of jams. But okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Note, pocket aces, it says should almost always flat and jam a small percentage of the time. So like when we're calculating that, just to keep it simple, we'll say like one combo of aces is going to jam and 5 will call.
Okay.
And then there's, again, like a small percentage of king queen suited. And then ace 5 suited, ace 4 suited are 100% jams.
And we're dominating those hands.
Yeah.
So those hands we're not even flipping with, we're just dominating. Remember, we have pocket sixes here.
Yeah. So then ace 8 suited occasionally jam, ace 7 suited about 50-50, and then ace 3 suited occasionally jam. So if we put these hands into a calculator, pocket sixes has about 40% equity against that entire range that's going to be jamming, and we only needed 38%.
How do you calculate the entire range?
Yeah, good question. So if you're studying or if you're in game, it can be kind of different, but like if you're studying, you can put it into a tool like Poker Cruncher, for example. That's one I suggest to my students. That's one I've used a lot myself, where like you can just put in ranges of hands you can be up against, and then you get to see your equity. The way you do it in your head, and it's good to practice this because you'll need to do this in game, but the way to do this is sort of figure, okay, so kings, queens, jacks are the pocket pairs that are going to jam 100% of the time. So that's 6 combos of each. That's 18 combos. 10s, 9s, 8s, those are all going to jam. Like 10s maybe a little over half, 8s maybe a little under half, 9s about half the time.
Okay.
Let's just say each one of those we're going to be up against 3 combos of each.
Okay.
So there are 6 combos of pocket 10s, but
And we're flipping it, and you say
but like 10s through 8s, there's 6 combos of each, but half the time they're going to call. So only 3 of those 6 combos are going to jam.
Okay.
That's 9 more. So 9 plus the 18 of kings, queens, jack is 27. And then pocket aces, we'll say like one of the 6 combos.
It's all starting to make sense now. I see.
Yeah.
So essentially 40% will make up the range of hands that is beating us or is dominating us, right? Essentially.
So 28 combos of pocket pairs that are better than us. So think of it this, like 28 combos we have 20% against.
Yeah.
So we're dominated by 20%.
Yeah.
Or sorry, by 28
Yeah.
combos. And then we have a bunch of hands we're flipping against. So all 16 combos of ace king.
Yeah.
And it's important to, because I think people will often feel like, okay, I'm flipping or dominated a lot. Mm-hmm. But the flips tend to be more common because, like, as we got into, there's 16 combos.
There's way more combos of those.
Yeah. And then so ace queen suited is supposed to jam most of the time. So we'll say 3 of those 4 combos. So that's 19 total that we're flipping against. And then we'll say 1 combo of king queen suited. So that's 20 combos that we're flipping against. Ace queen off, it's like a quarter of the time you're jamming. So 3 of the 12 offsuit combos. So we're up to 23 combos that we're flipping against. Ace 8 suited jams like a quarter of the time.
Your time bank's up, bro.
Hey, no, it's not.
I'm just kidding.
So we'll add 1 combo of ace 8 suited, and then ace 7 suited is supposed to jam about half the time. So we'll add 2 combos for that. We're at about 26 combos that we're flipping against.
And 20, you said 28?
28 that we have 20% against.
Yeah, it's dominated, yeah.
So those are basically the same amount of combos. So if you kind of average that out, against those hands only, we are about 35%. And then let's add in, ace 5 and ace 4 suited jam 100% of the time here. So those hands we have about 70%.
So that balances it. That balances out those ones that we're dominated by.
Yeah. So 40. That brings it up to about 40%. So
that makes sense. And one thing I want to clarify, guys, is remember this stuff isn't something you might think about in the moment while trying to. I mean, as you practice this stuff, it'll become easier, but it'll also become intuitive too. Like you'll be able to kind of determine these things by just looking at it and studying it a lot on your free time. So if you're taking hands and studying them, when you find yourself in the moment trying to figure out the math, it'll come a lot easier than this.
100%. And so, yeah, that's a really important thing to say is like most of this stuff you should do off the tables and like practice this way so you can kind of, in the moment, you're only really going through this sort of stuff if you're in a really close spot.
Yeah.
On the river and you're like trying to think, okay, there are all these combos of missed draws and then, there are these combos of value that make sense. And what price am I getting again? It's good to kind of be able to estimate this stuff in the moment, but don't worry if you can't really. The biggest thing is to just practice doing this sort of
know
thing
how the math works. Yeah. And practice it. Yep.
But going back to this now, you had said your hand would be in the muck pretty quickly, and I think in most situations you're right, because if we have pocket 6s here, sure, we have 40% against what the optimal 4-bet jamming range is from the low jack. Mm-hmm. But most people aren't going to
do what's optimal. They're not playing GTO, right? And
And I'm probably not. I'm probably closer than most, but I'm not going to
toot your own horn. No, I think I think these solvers are going to be a lot more aggressive than your standard player is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
which means their range is wider, which means we're going to have more, equity against more profitable call spots versus GTO, as we wouldn't probably have those calls against your normal, player essentially.
Yep. Yeah. Well said. And then, so let's kind of calculate based on what a normal player might do, what sort of odds we're getting, or not what odds we're getting, but what sort of odds we have against that range.
Okay.
So like in the low jack, your average player in, like let's say a $500 tournament or something like that, they'll very rarely jam stuff like ace 8 suited, ace 7 suited, ace 5 suited, they're very rarely going to do that. I would almost completely rule that out,
Okay. Unless they're European.
Well, yeah, but we're only playing those guys in like
WSOP typically. Yeah. Yep. All right. Continue.
So let's say they will jam like pocket tens and better. And I'm including aces here. So they're probably not going to trap aces as much.
Yeah,
They're probably just going to jam aces.
Tens,
a lot.
jacks, queens, kings, aces, jam. Got it.
Yeah.
This
Ace
is
king,
4-bet jam for 30 bigs, by the way.
Yeah. And then let's just say ace king. And that's it.
Okay.
Let's say
so we have
call
16 combinations of ace king, and then we have remind me of if each pair is 6 combos, and you said it was 10. So
so like 30 combos that were dominated by
and
16
okay.
that were flipping against. So,
this is not good numbers, guys, to make a profitable call.
Yeah. So in this case, once you kind of calculate it all out, we're getting closer to like 30% against that range.
Yeah.
And we needed to be good 38% of the time.
Yeah.
To call, or we need to end up winning 38% of the time to make a profitable call. So if you're making the assumption that that's what the person's range is, this is a snap fold with something like sixes. This is a snap fold with pocket nines would be the exact same thing.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because assuming the range starts at tens, exactly. It's literally the same exact thing.
Yep. So this is, a really good example. And I remember when Ian was on the podcast, he said something about how don't use the solver to justify a play. Look what the solver is assuming your opponent will do. And then if you think that's true to what your opponent will actually do, then use the solver to justify the play.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a pretty good example pre-flop of you can make a call, if you call the 4-bet jam with sixes, GTO Wizard is going to say that's right. But GTO Wizard is assuming your opponent has these 4-bet bluffs that most opponents won't have.
So against you, it might be a profitable call, but against, I'm not going to start beef with anybody.
But, against your average recreational player, I think most people out there will admit to themselves, no, I'm not 4-bet ripping ace 7 suited.
Hence why I 5-bet stuffed ace 5 suited in your face.
And you were ahead.
Meta Wars, baby. This is in a 500. What was this?
2-5 cash game.
2-5
We're
cash
200 bigs deep.
Wes and I got into a massive power. I think you had ace 3 suited.
Yeah, and you had ace 5.
I 5-bet ripped ace 5 suited.
And then you show the 5, and I'm like, you're
ahead. Poker's fun.
Yeah, so again, there's a difference between being like a solver player and being a math player, I would say.
Okay.
And this is an example of how you need to use the math to come to the right conclusion based on what your read was. So in this case, the math, the call or fold can be correct, but it depends on whether your read of your opponent's range is right and if you apply the math correctly.
Okay.
All right, so next I want to get into this hypothetical river spot where we're going to make assumptions on what our opponent has, the different types of hands that they could have, then go through the math of what's actually the best play against the range of hands our opponent can have. So in this spot, let's say we're low jack, we raise, we have king jack, our opponent in the cutoff calls, and then everyone folds. So bet sizing doesn't matter. Let's say flop is jack 9-6 rainbow.
Through flop top pair, second kicker.
Yep. We bet, they call.
What position were they again?
Cutoff.
Okay, and we're low jack. Got it.
Yeah. Turn is a 3. Board is a full rainbow. No flush draws.
Jack 9-7-3?
6-3.
6-3, okay.
Yep. We bet again. They call.
Okay.
River deuce. So let's say we've gotten to the river here and we have 75% of the pot back. So if we're going to bet, it's going to be an all-in sizing.
And this kind of is irrelevant, but I feel like we have the best hand here most of the time.
Yeah, I would say we do. We assume that all the over pairs are going to 3-bet us pre-flop.
Yeah, we would have heard from them at some point within this hand, I would assume.
Yeah. Most, our opponent will not have 2-pair unless it's jack 9 suited, probably. And based on whatever suits are on the board, there's either going to be 1 or 2 combos of jack 9 suited.
Okay.
Because there are only 2 jacks left in the deck, so there can only be 2 combos, and then depending on what suit of the 9 is out there. So the only things we're really worried about being trapped by a set, and we'll assume that pocket jacks would a 3-bet too. So again, we'll simplify it a bit, but let's say our opponent, as far as hands that we're losing to, our opponent could have pocket 9s, pocket 6s, 2 combos of Jack 9 suited, and then Ace Jack, which would be a total of 8 combos.
Okay.
Now, you might say, well, they might have 3-bet Ace Jack pre-flop. True, but for the sake of this situation, let's say they will. Yeah. You can assume they can.
I think it's fair for Ace Jack to flat here, too. I mean, you'll see that a lot. So, how many? You said 18 combos of hands that are beating us?
Let's see. So, 8 of Ace Jack, 6 of. So, pocket 9s, pocket 6s, that's 3 of those each. And then 2 of Jack 9 suited. So 16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
So 16 combos of hands that beat us. And then let's think here for a minute. What hands are we beating that we would get to the river with in 2 streets? So is Jack 9, 6, 3 deuce?
Yep. The 3 and deuce are
and
just
there
so
was
irrelevant.
And there's no turned flush draw, so there's no flush draw at any point during the hand.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to assume that stuff like King Queen or King 10 suited is going to fold the turn because there's no. Yeah. They would just have a gutter and 1 or 2 overs.
Sometimes King Queen might come along, depending on the player. But yeah, so I would assume here the hands that we're beating would be Jack Queen, Jack 10, Queen 10.
Yep, and.
Is Jack 9. So, and then maybe 10-8 suited.
Yeah. So I think 7-8 suited because that would be an open
as well. Yeah.
And yeah, I think because our opponent called in the cutoff, it's important to note that like most players are just going to have the suited variety of stuff like Queen Jack, Jack 10, Queen 10, 7-8, maybe 10-8. And then, they could have like 10-9 suited, Ace 9 suited, maybe King 9 suited.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
9-8 suited.
Some second pairs with, that turns some gutters instead.
Or not even gutters, just second pair.
Or second pair, yeah.
Now, so we're losing to 16 combos.
So we got to count these combos up now.
Yeah, so let's think now, if we jam the river here, what hands that we're beating have a decent chance at calling us? And
almost like none of them.
Right.
Maybe Queen Jack, and that's kind of a hero call.
Yeah, so I'm even thinking like maybe Queen Jack suited, Jack 10 suited, and let's say Ace 9 suited because it like Ace 9 suited unblocks the straight draws, da.
If I'm on global, I'm you're getting called by those hands. But
So we'll say those 3, but since it's only suited, there's only 2 combos. There are only 2 jacks left, so there are 2 combos of Jack 10 suited, 2 of Queen Jack suited, and 3 of Ace 9 suited. So that's only 7 combinations of hands we're beating that we're planning to get called by.
Potentially could get called by, yeah.
Yeah. And so we lose to more hands than that.
There's something else we need to factor in here, though.
Yep. So I think from that conclusion, we can decide we actually should not bet this for value.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you could... Again, we're assuming a 75% all-in size. If you decide to like bet a tenth of the pot, like that would be a profitable bet, but
you're not going to be getting the most.
Yeah. Let's think like so now we have all these hands. We have only 7 combos that we're beating that we might get called by. But what about all these other like
straight draws that missed?
Yeah. So
how many combos are those? So
Queen 10 suited, we'll say all 4.
So we're assuming an opponent doesn't have Queen 10 off.
Yep.
So if opponent had Queen 10 off and Queen 10 suited, there would be 16 combinations. But since we're getting rid of all the offsuit Queen 10s and assuming they're only calling pre-flop with Queen 10 suited, we're boiling that all the way down to 4 combos.
Yep. And then I think 8-7 suited is going to be there just as much too. So we'll add another 4 combos there. 10-8 suited is like close. We'll say like maybe a couple combos of that. Mm-hmm. And then, we'll assume that we bet large enough on the turn to fold out like King, Queen, and King 10
So maybe
suited.
8 combos of missed straight draws?
Between 8 and 12, depending on the 10-8 suited
Depending
situation.
on how sticky they are pre-flop.
Yeah. And then I think, so we'll make the assumption that a hand like 10-9 suited, 9-8 suited, that those would fold to our river jam.
Yep.
But if we check, they're going to check back. So like those are hands that just are not going to put chips in the pot, but we beat them. So like we'll just check down and win. So those are kind of irrelevant to the conclusion. So it's like of the hands that could put chips in, what's the best plan of action here?
Okay.
And so if we check, let's say our opponent then puts us all in. Now we can assume that like the 16 combo or what was it,
16
16
is right,
combos
yeah.
that we were behind. Those are obviously all going to do it.
Yeah.
But
There's the 8 to 12 combos of bluffs.
yeah. And so actually, if we're doing the math, like 70, if they bet 75%, we only need to win 30% of the time to be profitable.
Yeah.
So even with just the bluffs, like even
The bluffs cover enough of the combinations to make it profitable.
yeah, because even if it's only queen 10 suited and 8-7 suited, that's 8, and there's 16 value combos we lose to.
Yeah.
So that's already 1/3. That's already 33%.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
already enough. And that's not even taking into consideration if they value bet queen jack suited.
Queen 10.
We can chop with king jack suited.
Yeah,
They could have 10-8 suited. There are a bunch of different things going on here. So I think
the profitable play, I like it. So it's funny, though, because this is a unique spot. I like this as a hypothetical situation because I feel like most people here would, without thinking of this deeper, they are going to be jamming king jack here and then just losing value.
yeah. So I think it like brings together a bunch of different concepts where it's like we are in a situation where we think we usually have the best hand. That doesn't mean that when we bet,
We're the most profitable.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that when the chips actually go in, we're going to have the best hand most of the time. Because we kind of concluded that if we bet and get called, that means we're probably losing more often than winning. So it's a bad value bet. But once we decide to check, then all these hands that would have folded to the bet, some of those hands are going to do the betting for us. And now, while we still lose to all the same hands, now there's a larger range of hands that will put chips in.
Yeah.
So we get value from more hands by checking here.
That makes sense. So essentially, I mean, that's still, is that considered an exploit?
I think that's not an exploit. I think that's just like normal theory stuff. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. An exploit would be like if your opponent just can't ever fold.
Yeah.
Then you jam
Just
because
jam.
they're going to call with a nine.
Right.
All
Okay.
their nines or something.
Okay. And the way I was thinking was like we're exploiting the combos, right? Like we know we're checking here knowing that we're making the ranges of hands that are going to put chips in the middle wider by checking. Anyways, that was where my thought was.
Yeah. It kind of depends on how you phrase it. From a poker standpoint, I think this is like...
I'm not exploiting the opponent rather than exploiting the combinations that I figured out.
You're like maximizing the situation, I think is what you're kind of...
Maybe exploit's just the wrong word for it. Okay.
Yeah. You're taking the information and figuring out if, again, in poker, you assume if you're in this situation 1,000 times, based on all the assumptions staying the same, like what would earn you the most chips in the long run?
I really liked how you put that, though, how it's going to, now by checking, you're going to be having a wider range of hands willing to put chips in, whereas if we were betting, we were all of a sudden... maybe a few hands will put chips in, but by checking all of these missed combos or all these missed draws, now we're going to put chips in. I mean, obviously the value hands are as well, but we beat a couple of value hands. It's just okay. Mm-hmm. But that's not the point. The point is it's valuable.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's good to clarify too. Like, I'm not saying if you throw this into solver, maybe king jack is supposed to jam because your opponent's supposed to call with more. But I think like in a lot of situations, like I'm making an assumption based on sort of a normal opponent.
Yeah, I think it's fair. It all makes sense or it's logical.
Yeah, and the point of this episode is not to make the right assumptions, but okay, you've made your assumptions. Now, how do you maximize your profit based off those using the math and logic involved?
That's awesome, man. I think a lot of people will find a ton of value in what you've brought to the table today, and I know I actually have as well. This has been super helpful for me. Do you have anything else left on that?
That was all I really had. Obviously, we could go down tons of rabbit holes here, and like I love talking about this stuff. So,
because you're a nerd, right?
I'm a nerd. Good,
Embraced.
actually, and it is a good time to mention. I do some coaching, and this is a lot of stuff that when I do coaching, I'll kind of base it off of a lot of this stuff. So it's good to know this stuff. I'm very happy to teach this stuff to anyone out there if it isn't clicking for you right now. But also, even if you're not looking to invest that seriously in your game, like we do have our Discord.
Yeah.
You and I both respond to like the hand histories
And other people do too. There's a lot of very knowledgeable people in the group right now. We have well over 60. We're at 60 members right now.
Yeah,
and it's active. People are in there listening to your hands and giving their 2 cents. And a lot of them, most of them, are really good players. So
yeah, I think that's a good analysis of the situation. Yeah, if you want to like throw some hands in, or even if it's just hypothetical situations.
I like that. That was a perfect time to plug. We both got a good plug in the last 2 episodes.
We did. Yeah.
So before we kind of wrap things up here, let's just kind of summarize the things we've went over so far. I think the first one we kind of discussed was defining pot odds, how to find out if a call is profitable or not, or if we should be bluffing
or value betting. We didn't really do any bluffing examples, but similar
but we did the math. We gave some math behind it, and then after that we kind of learned how to set a foundation for counting blockers
or combos.
Would I say blockers? Combos.
But yeah, it kind of does show the relevance of blockers in the sense that like if you have a card, it can cut down on the certain amount of combinations of either bluffs or
they're
value
aligned.
bets.
Yeah, they're aligned. And I think that's another very important reason to learn your combos is because you can you can construct at much more precision your opponent's range.
Yep. And this is why, this is the stuff I love most about poker and just studying the game is like, you can debate a lot on what you think your opponent's range consists of, but once you have the answer of what their range is, like there is just a correct answer.
Yeah. Once we know what the cards are face up.
Not even, but like even if you don't know what they are face up, but like in this last situation, it's like, oh, if we're right that they're only going to have these sorts of hands, well, now we can make a decision that maximizes the profit against all those hands combined, even though we don't know which one they have right now.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So instead of profiting versus a specific hand, we've figured out how to profit versus the range of hands that we've got down to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is the stuff that kind of got me really excited about poker and still sort of does. So,
It's funny though, because this is the exact same shit in school that put me to sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And it's amazing because it's like, you don't need to be great at this stuff.
How you apply it, though, can make it more interesting. So, I mean, I love this stuff now, and I love learning about it. I think it's because it's in a state where it's usable for me. You know what I mean?
I think, yeah. So I can't speak to that as much because I've always sort of really liked math. Mm-hmm. And I've really liked the fact that in math, there just is a right answer.
Yeah.
As long as the variables going into it are correct. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think, even if you're someone out there who isn't a big fan of math, you don't need to be completely precise about it, but like just sort of understanding the logic behind it,
Yeah. Well, I think that'll be a good place to wrap it up here. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. I hope a very profitable year for all of us.
Very profitable.
Very profitable. I think
everyone play me heads up.
Yeah, we're going to be playing. Look at you, got me. We're going to be doing a lot of content in our Discord. We're going to be still dropping podcasts every single week throughout the new year. We're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. So make sure to join our Discord. We're going to be doing in the new year weekly sit downs and live streams where you can for free come and learn with us. You know what I mean? You can learn about combos. All these other things. So, Wes, anything going on into the new year for you?
Yeah, so poker-wise, we'll see. So I'm going to be skiing the first weekend.
No cheap and deep for you?
No cheap and deep for me. For our Minnesota listeners out there, I'm sure a lot of you will be in the cheap and deep at Canterbury. I won't be, so good luck to all of you.
Yeah.
I will be firing the Avalanche at Running Aces, I think, the following weekend.
What date does that fall on again?
It's like the 12th, 13th, 14th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can actually play that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you've got some exciting stuff coming up, don't you?
I will be getting married to the love of my life in less than 3 weeks, I think now. January 20th, I'll be getting married. So right around 3 weeks from now, I'm taking that next step into the next chapter.
Yeah,
so,
congrats. I mean, I'll be there for it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I will be still, foot on the pedal playing poker, still loving it. So
definitely.
I'm thankful that I have someone I love that supports that. So she's pretty awesome.
That's great.
Happy New Year, everybody. Let's get it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's from the Suited Kings podcast, and we'll catch you guys soon.